Today's video is a list of the 10 best Audi R8 models ever made, listed from number 7 to number 1 R8, the best of all time. This will consist of our top 7 R8 picks from its years of production, both first and second generation. Hyperfact Audi is combined from the words Auto Union, after 4 German companies banded together to create the powerhouse we know today as Audi. Watch on and learn more about the 7 best Audi R8 models of all time. Number 7. 2011 Audi R8 Coupe Type 42. While the 2011 R8 Coupe provided drivers with plenty of power, 420 to 525 horsepower and 317 to 391 pound-foot of torque, depending on engine size, it is lacking in a few departments. But if you wanted to purchase one of these 8 years ago, or you did, you likely did a ton of research before buying and knew these setbacks before you went to the showroom. Storage space is lacking and slightly poor gas mileage. What does one expect from a V8 or V10? This is also the year the convertible version was released, so people were pretty hot for the R8 at this time. Still going strong, the Audi R8 sold 3,551 units around the world for 2011, and 1,145 of those were sold in America. Hyperfact, Audi R8s are made everywhere except Australia. Number 6. 2012 Audi R8 Coupe Type 42. The MSRP in 2012 for the Audi R8 Coupe for that model year was $114,200. Now, if that sounds a bit high, that's because it is. After all, this was a street model race car, so to speak, and many even categorized it under the supercar class. It came with typical choice of V8 420 horsepower or V10 525 horsepower, though it was actually tuned to give 560 horsepower in the GT model, which was used in the Lamborghini Gallardo, and a 6-speed manual transmission on the coupe and convertible, as opposed to the automatic option. While the GT was a limited model with only 333 of them being made, 90 of those came to the States. Audi ended up making 2,241 of these, with the exception of that GT. 802 of them were brought in the good old USA. Hyperfact. In 1998, Audi AG purchased Lamborghini in order for them to have the funds to create a new, powerful engine. That's how the V10 engine was born. Number 5. 2010 Audi R8 Spyder 5.2 FSI Quattro Convertible Type 42. The Audi R8 Spyder's debut at the Frankfurt Motor Show in 2009 showed how excited the public was for its arrival. The R8 Coupe was already very popular, and the thought of a convertible that was built off of a race car design was overwhelming. Did we get what we wanted? In spades, and the 2010 model's release is the second fine example. In Europe, the starting price for the 5.2-liter V10 was $225,000. In America, it was $170,000 fully loaded. It had 420 horsepower that it was capable of putting out, and its torque came in at 317 pound-foot at 6 RPM. So, how did they sell, you wonder? Let's see. A total of 3,485 were sold around the world of both coupes and convertibles together, and only some of those were convertibles, perhaps a third. Sales in the United States for the R8 that year were 799, both styles, so it is our estimate that around 250 convertible models were sold in the US. Number 4. The 2011 Audi R8 Spyder 5.2 V10 FSI Quattro Convertible Type 42. All-wheel drive is something to boast about, especially when there's a V10 under the hood that puts out 525 horsepower and 391 pound-foot of torque. That's a lot of wind in your hair, and it handles so well. The top goes up and down in 19 seconds flat, and it remains fully operational up to 31 miles per hour. The gas mileage isn't the greatest at 15 mpg combined, but hell, it's a V10, people! MSRP on the 2011 Spyder was $165,000, $25,000 in the US and more in Europe. Audi had worldwide sales that year of 3,551, and once again, only a third were the spyder version of the R8. In the States, 1,145 or approximately 300 spyders or less were sold. Hyperfact, if you buy an Audi R8 in Europe, you will experience an average of 10 horsepower more than the US version. Number 3. 2018 Audi R8 Coupe Type 4S. In America, this year's R8 Coupe started at $138,700, so the price hasn't jumped up that much in the last 7 or 8 years. Still a 5.2-liter V10, this car got 14 mpg in the city and 25 mpg on the highway, according to Audi, so it's a lot better than in years gone by. It measured 532 to 610 horsepower, so what it sucked in gas, it made up for in power. While worldwide unit sales numbers for 2018 are vague, if not absent, we can give an average of sales from years gone by. So, an approximate 3,000, while the numbers for the R8 Coupe in America that year stood at about 927, both numbers were down for the coupe model as a whole. But this was one beautiful, mean machine. Hyperfact, the Audi R8 is one of only 3 cars that use a powerful V10 engine, which makes this a must-have for those not willing to compromise on speed. Number 2. 2015 Audi R8 Coupe Type 4S. With numbers 3 and 2 being the second generation or Phase 2 R8 models on our list, you would think that Audi was digressing rather than moving forward. But we all know that this isn't true. It's just that sometimes older is better, but not always. Anyway, the 2015 R8 was pretty run-of-the-mill for this model, with the exception of the fact that this was the introductory year for the second R8 generation, Type 4S. Differences included the Generation 1 facelift, S-tronic gearbox. Generation 1 also featured a 6-speed, while the new V10s are mostly running automatic. And owners like the manual better. The newer ones have more power and are much easier and more comfortable to handle, and overall, most owners and those who have test-driven both will agree that Generation 2 or Phase 2 is significantly better due to advanced technology. Sales for the first year Phase 2 R8 models around the world was around 3,200, with a US sales total of 495, down about 300 units from the previous year. And finally, the number 1 Audi R8 model of all time is, Hyperfact, the 2012 Audi R8 model still keeps Audi's astonishing power to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.2 seconds. Number 1. 2006 Audi R8 Coupe Type 42. The original is still the best, says jalopnik.com. They are calling it like they see it, and most fans of the R8 will be on the same page. The original 2006 R8 Coupe, in all of its shiny-faced Generation 1 glory, had something about it that simply defied explanation. Maybe it was the chic, sporty body. Perhaps it was the way the car was fast and comfortable at the same time. Or it simply may have been the fact that you were driving one of the most anticipated and hottest cars on the market, or the way the women flocked around you. That gives you the opinion that the 06 is the best of the best, regardless of the reason. The sheer sentimentality alone hands the number 1 spot to the 2006 R8 on a golden platter. For the 2006 model year, Audi sold only 164 units worldwide. But as you know, they weren't yet selling them here in the States yet. Sometimes missing out just sucks. Hyperfact, Audi R8 Type 42 turns 17 this June. That's right, it's still vrooming wild. The very best Audi R8 models in existence, right up there, right at your fingertips. It's true that the bias and unfamiliar car-wise will see a list of 10 cars that are, for all intents and purposes, pretty much the same. But we know better. We know that the R8 evolved beautifully over the last 13 years, with subtle changes and mechanical differences that only a sports car lover, and especially an R8 lover, would appreciate. So, if you have owned one before and are ready to upgrade, this is your writing on the proverbial wall or screen if you like. If you've never driven one before, well, we feel sorry for you. Don't you think it's time to make it happen? Keep an eye out for our next epic video. Oh, and do subscribe if you haven't already and ding the bell icon. Until next time.